Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm talking about the 2026 US House elections, specifically the state of Texas, and how this could play such a big important role in what happens in 2026. So the latest right now from thehill.com is, as of the time recording this video, Texas Democrats are entering the third day of fleeing the state to block Republicans from passing a new gerrymandered map that would offer the GOP potentially 5 pickup opportunities in the House next year. Now, after a Texas House committee advanced new congressional lines during their special session, the Democrats left a Lone Star State to deny Republicans a quorum, or the minimum number of lawmakers needed to conduct business. In response, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has called for the Democrats' arrest and has ordered the Texas Rangers to launch a probe into the lawmakers for possible bribery and other violations. Meanwhile, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton declared he would seek judicial orders, declaring that runaway Democrats who fail to appear by the Speaker's deadline have vacated their office. But for now, the two parties are locked in a standoff, and there's a lot that's really up in the air right now for how this could go. And obviously at the time, we don't know how this is going to play out, but this is a very, very fascinating situation here, where how this ends up going is going to have very huge ramifications for 2026. Right now, if you're unfamiliar, the U.S. House currently has Republicans holding 220 House seats, Democrats holding 215. And you need 218 House seats to have a majority. So Republicans have the House by about 3 seats right now for 2026. Now, obviously, 3 House seats is not a very large majority, but it's the majority that the Republicans currently have. Now, I've been doing a few videos going over very close competitive House races for 2026 that the Democrats could win. And in most scenarios that I go over, given the expected shift of the margin of victory, where if you look at the generic ballot polling thus far, this is how much one party does nationwide, essentially, in the national House vote, Democrats are currently leading by about 2.9%. So when you look at how 2024 went, the Republicans won 220 House seats, Democrats 215. The Republicans got 50.6, Democrats got 47.8. So that's about 2.8% win on the national House vote. So to flip that, go 2.8 to 0 plus an additional 2.9, that would be about 5.6%. And if you went off the 2024 map and you just were to shift about 5.6% or so, or even let's say the number's not exact, let's say a 5-point shift towards the Democrats. Based on the 2024 results, the Democrats would get up to 230 House seats, Republicans would only be at 205. So not only would the Democrats win back the House, but they would win back the House by a pretty healthy margin and really give the Democrats a lot of room and stopping power where they could even afford for 5, even 10 Democrats to dissent with the Democrats and vote with the Republicans, and the Democrats would still hold a large enough majority to stop the Republicans in passing the Republican agenda. Or if the Democrats all remained in lockstep, they would pretty much be able to halt most of President Trump and the Republicans' agenda. And so that's based off the 2024 map. And the Republicans know this in a lot of these states, and President Trump certainly knows this. So the Republicans have been trying to do in recent weeks is they've been trying to take states that they don't believe the Republican House maps are gerrymandered enough and are trying to gerrymander them even more to get more Republican House seats out of them to try and stop what they know is going to be coming in 2026, which is at least at best, a 60-40 chance of the Democrats winning back the House. I think the Democrats are certainly very favored at winning back the House, even if it's only by a few seats or so, based on the current composition, but the Republicans are trying to essentially test the luck here and hoping to prevent this. So in Texas, as the map said, the Republicans are hoping to pick up 5 seats. So let's just go through the math here. Let's say the Republicans, I'm just going to pick the seats the way they're currently drawn now, pick up this district and this district. That would get them 2. Then we'll say they flip this one, that gets them 3, this one gets them 4, and we'll do one in the Houston area, gets them 5. I'm just picking 5 random districts just to get the number as shown. That would get Republicans up to 225, Democrats 210. Based on the current House number, though, just showing you the election results here, even if you gave 5 away, that would bring the Republicans up to 210, Democrats would be at 225. The Democrats would still have a decent House majority and a large enough House majority to win the House in 2026, even if only Texas redistricted. But, as the Republicans have noted, Texas is not the only state that they're targeting. The Republicans have interest in flipping one of the districts in the state of Missouri and redrawing the map. If they were to do that, that would give them another potential win here That would get the Republicans up to 226 in this scenario. That would bring the Democrats on the projected one down to 224 to about 216, I believe I said it was. So on that scenario, the Republicans still wouldn't hold the House. But this is why the Republicans are planning to try and redistrict as well in the state of Ohio. Where Ohio, two districts right now are very close, and this district right here and this district right here. I believe this is the 9th and the 13th districts. These districts are very competitive and may flip outright. The Republicans are also targeting this district down here to potentially flip. This would be 3 more wins. So that would be 5 in Texas, 1 in Missouri, that would be 6, and then there would also be 3 more in Ohio, that would be 9 Republican flips. So on this new House map, if you took 9 seats away from the Democrats, that would bring them down to 221, and that would bring the Republicans up to about 211. It gets a lot closer in that scenario. And then the Republicans, if they can get a few more House seats out of Ohio, maybe they're able to redraw out these 2 Democratic districts if possible here. If they could do that, well, that would get the Republicans an extra 5. That would give them really, really close to the majority. That would go down from, 219 to 211, an extra 2. That would bring it down to 217, and then that would bring it up to about, 214, 215 or so. That would put the Republicans more in play at actually winning the House that way. So you can see the Republican strategy of trying to gerrymander in Texas and Missouri and in Ohio and try and get the House. But a new one that's also come out in recent days is the Republicans and trying to gerrymander the state of Florida. President Trump has been pressuring Governor Ron DeSantis to try and redraw the map. Now, the rumor on this one is the Republicans also want 5 seats out of Florida. The first one I could think comes to mind is the district for Jared Moskowitz in Florida. So let's say that district, or this district here, the Palm Beach district, ends up going red. That would be 1. This one here would be 2. Let's just say this one, the Orlando area, would be 3. The Palm Beach one would potentially be 4. Okay, that would be 4 right there. Then I think the next one that's most likely would probably be the Tampa area, as that area trended towards the Republicans in 2024. Let's say this one is able to flip towards the Republican side. Let me flip on Republican here. If that were to happen, that would be another 5 seats out of Florida. So 236 to 199 based on the 2024 results for the Republicans. Based on the flip results here, 5 in Texas, 5 in Ohio, that's 10. Another 5 in Florida, that'd be 15. A 16th one in Missouri. If that would be the case, 16 seats flipped from what the projections were on this one, that would bring the Democrats down to 214. Republicans would hold to, 221 or so. That would be enough for the Republicans to hold the House. So the Republicans are trying to gerrymander these maps as much as possible in these states to hold a narrow House majority in the event that they expect what will happen in 2026 actually happens. Now, obviously, Democrats are not taking this sitting down. You already have calls from Kathy Hochul in New York to try and redistrict their maps to make it more Democratic friendly to stop the Republicans doing this in Florida, Texas, and Ohio if they succeed. Gavin Newsom's trying to do the same thing in California. So it all becomes a big mess here of both parties trying to gerrymander their maps as much as possible and as much as their states' constitutions and Supreme Court systems allow them to do to try and make it as advantageous for their parties as possible. Now look, I think the simple reality here is if you're a Republican, you're going to try and gerrymander the map as much as possible to make it as Republican favored as possible. If you're a Democrat, Democrats are going to try to do the exact same thing to make it as Democratic as absolutely possible. The difference here is usually this happens after the census elections, which take place every 10 years. Mid-decade redistricting is not something that usually happens too much. Ohio is, and I believe Texas do have the possibility of doing it this time, but this is going to become a very big partisan fight. I'm not really too sure how this is going to go if all these states do end up trying to redistrict their maps and how it all ends up working, but it's going to be a very fascinating situation to watch. And then you're hearing rumblings about some other states trying to potentially get involved as well. I saw a recent report saying New Hampshire would maybe try and redistrict one of their districts, probably the first district, to end up having a Republican. Then you see a state like Maryland potentially trying to redistrict to get rid of its one Republican district. So these states that don't have a lot of congressional seats, maybe they try and do this to give their parties an extra seat or so. But then this also includes any districts from states that don't change that are already currently competitive. For instance, Nebraska's 2nd district with Don Bacon, he's retiring. I expect this to be a Democratic flip. Iowa's first with Marinette Miller Meeks barely won last time in 2024. Democrats could be eyeing a potential flip here. Iowa 3 with Republican Zach Nunn also expect to be very close. Zach Nunn could win here. What if the Democrats narrowly flip here? It's not just redistricting and gerrymandering alone. It may not even help the Republicans win the House enough, but it will give the Republicans a much stronger chance at winning the House if they gerrymander and redistrict these maps as they're trying to do. So it's a very interesting situation here in that if the Republicans really gerrymander Texas, Florida, Ohio, Missouri, and then maybe other states like New Hampshire or maybe some other states out there, if they do that, it's going to give them a much stronger chance of winning the House in 2026. But if they do that, it may also mean the Democrats may try and gerrymander more in New York, in California, maybe in Washington or Oregon, maybe Pennsylvania. It could really keep going and going until every state essentially is gerrymandered to the absolute max. Now, obviously, there are some states that only have a few electoral votes where gerrymandering really doesn't matter. North Dakota, South Dakota, Delaware are 3 states that only have that 1 congressional district, so that doesn't really matter. Vermont's the same way, but do other states also try and redistrict as well? We really don't know how this is all going to play out. I cannot stress that enough, but what Texas does and how it all eventually plays out holds huge ramifications for how this whole redistricting saga for 2026 could go. Based on the current House map for 2026, I think the Democrats are more likely than not going to narrowly retake the House. But if the Republicans are able to successfully gerrymander and redistrict their maps, then the Republicans have a much stronger chance at keeping the House in Republican hands, which is why you're seeing such an adamant push from Republicans to gerrymander and redistrict, and you're seeing such a determined Democratic fight to redistrict as well to try and stop the gains the Republicans will be getting. This is a very fascinating situation. I can't wait to see how this all goes and how this unfolds and what it could mean for 2026. Leave all your comments down below if you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to add on what I covered in this video. Please do all that. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe as I post multiple videos every day that you're not going to want to miss. That'll do it for today's video. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to hit like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in a future video.